This thing's kind of heavy. I hope this thing came with instructions. You guys, how you doing, gang? Rack and Pinion. I know, we're on a budget. I can explain. That's what I tried to tell my wife. Anyhow, let's get this fender off and see if we can't bolt this up and find the instructions. I'm not good with them. I'm not any good with them anyway. Well, here's what we have. This bracket bolts supposedly between the frame rails where your gearbox, which I think is this side, and your pitman arm bolts on this side. So it bolts between so that this is all made to just ready to go. So much. So that's where I got it from. Actually on eBay. This whole kit comes with, there's some spacers. They go between here, I believe, depending on your frame. So there's different spacers so we can get it in the right place. These are milled steel. So this is better than the factory ones, and I believe I could still use them, the factory ones, but they're cast iron. These aren't going to break near as easy. Not that they should break. A steering coupler with nothing on the end, but there's the other end for it. Hardware. The sleeves for both sides, the adjusting sleeves, tie rod ends for the both sides, and a pretty chrome power steering pump. Good old school Borg Warner, probably from some other country, not here. The crank pulley that goes on the crank so you can hook up your power steering belt. Comes with, here's all the bracketry and hardware for that, and lines made up, ready to go. Well, I got this at the car show today. It's an ignition switch and a washer. I like that stuff. $5 a piece, 10 bucks. Heck yeah, I'll buy that. All this, well, he's $860. If you look for other kits and all that, they're from $1,700, $1,800, $2,400. Just kind of depends on what you buy. You can't beat that. The gearbox on this one they're always in the way on these, best I can tell anyhow, and it's wore out, so I'm either going to try to rebuild it or get another one. You can't take the column out, or you can't take the gearbox out without taking a column out, because the shaft is made onto the gearbox, so I've got to cut that right off and adapt this somehow and use the instructions. Hopefully there's measurements that I'll screw up, but let's get this thing bolted in. Imagine we start here, and I'll read the instructions. All right, cross members in there per the instructions. There are shims. They go behind here. You want this snuggy, right? Snuggy. And there's a little bit of a gap here, but I'm not going to be able to do anything about that. That's going to pull together. When I put my impact on it, trust me. And it comes with shims. So if you got, it's too much, you can put another shim in it. It also comes with thicker shims. They're just as thick, double, all kind of shims. So depending on your, not all cars are the same. Doesn't matter. You got to have them snug in there. I can just barely get these in here to get these bolts through, so it's good. So I'm going to use, this is grade 8 hardware, grade 8 washers. It's got a locking nut and a lock washer. I'm also going to use, you guessed it, red Loctite. You don't want this stuff coming loose. Let's hammer it in there and it's there. I'll get that done, turn you back on. There we go. Sucked her right in. Double, triple locked. So you got, I did, by the way, some of this hardware isn't grade 8, the bolts are, but I have grade 8 hardware for 3/8, so it's all grade 8, red Loctite, locking nut, and lock washer. That ain't coming loose. Unless I want it to, and then I might have trouble. So let me get my pretend tie rod. That's how I've been moving this around, and that's the main reason I'm doing this right now, is because I'm usually by myself. that thing doesn't have a steering wheel. That's the next thing that's going to happen. The steering column is going to go back in it so we can wiki woo. Wiki woo. A little easier by a guy, old guy that's pushing stuff around by himself, at least have a steering wheel. Quick coat of, you know, whatever. Just a bit of bare metal. I don't want them to rust. And they might eventually anyway. Doesn't matter. A little bit of spritzy, couple coats, and have it look nice for a while. I like the silver with the silver coil springs and the red bushings and the black, you know. Anyhow, so here's our factory ones. Now we're going to have to get those off. We might run into a bit of trouble with the voltage. Depends on their bolts. These screw into here when they usually don't. They're usually a nut and bolt, right? But since this is a drop spindle, this spacing here is down lower, or excuse me, up lower. So those bolts can interfere with the rotor, so they can't go all the way through. And it might have to. We'll just see. We got to get those off though, while that paint's drying on the silver stuff. You know what I mean? All right. Steering arms in there, and factory, these would go through with a nut and a bolt and inside the drum, right? But we have, I don't know, it looks like that bolt's touching. It's not. It just pushed some dirt out or some paint or something. You can only go so far. You can't put a nut there. These knuckles are threaded, okay? So these are aftermarket knuckles, and it is what it is. So I'm telling you, new lock washer, red Loctite. You want to do it by hand, put this down by hand, and then get you this right here, right? You want a torque wrench, fit it in there. I don't know what the spec is. I got it tighter than heck. That's torque spec on most of your suspension and brake parts. Tighter than heck. Other than, you know, your wheel bearings, obviously. New lock washers, and people don't listen to me. But I want to tell you guys, when that nut tightens down this way, it smashes that, correct? Well, what makes it a lock washer is this little edge catches that nut. This little edge catches whatever it's all bolted to and keeps it from backing off. Well, what do you think happens when you loosen that? You round that edge off. So it might look all right, but you don't have a very good edge right there. And it's no longer as good of a lock washer as it was. Locking nuts of any type, lock washers, one-time use. I understand sometimes you can't help it, but one-time use. Safety first, okay? My daughter might be driving this thing someday, and if something breaks on it while she's driving it, the bolt comes out, she ain't gonna know what to do. Not that I would, but you know, she might be driving me around. All right, got the rack bolted in. Kind of looks pretty cool. What I don't like about this kit so far is some of the hardware is chintzy. These bolts are too short. Well, not really, but I can't put my lock washer there. And the bolt is barely flush right there, so I got red Loctite on them. And this one sticks out just a little bit, so it's probably fine. It doesn't say anything in the instructions about, you know. So I might eventually get longer bolts. But I got Loctite them, and I got them cranked on there with that. Don't trust your impact, especially if you don't know it very well. This one here, I don't know it very well. So we're going to do it by the UGA type, right? Tie rods on, tightened up, cotter pinned. Now, boys and girls, any kind of suspension that has or a steering system that has a sleeve that turns, you'll have one that's left-hand thread and one that's right-hand thread. So when you turn it, it makes this rod longer or shorter to do your alignment. Okay? When you screw them together, don't screw this one all the way up to here and then screw this one in and it's sticking out that far, because you won't have the travel that you need to get her in spec. So what this is, these little clamps will tighten up when I get it where I want it. This is a jam nut, because on this kind of rack, it probably had a solid tie rod. And what you would do, all you would do then is turn this inner tie rod end to adjust it with these threads. So and we're going to see these seem a little short, so we're towed out on both sides. Of course, the weight and all that. The other thing you got to remember, this is 2 inches lower. It would have been normally up here because I have a dropped 2-inch drop spindle. So this whole spindle goes up. Yeah, I'm confused. It goes the other way. Okay, it's fine. The main thing that I'm a little worried about, it only goes through that far, and this one is quite a bit longer. So I may have to make this longer by just turning the tie rod to get it within a closer realm of what I want compared to here, and still have enough travel. So once I get it together and get it on the wheels and tires, we'll get our rack and pinion centered. That's something you've got to keep in mind too, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then see where we're at here. I might have to pop this tie rod end off, wiki woo, and get, you know. But now I have something missing from point B to point A. So now I've got to find my steering shaft, my gearbox, my steering column, and a steering wheel. I hope they're up there. I hadn't seen them in a while. Well, I found some stuff. Front shocks, 57 Chevy. These were, I don't even know if they were, I think they were put on but never used. Some rear shocks for something I'm not sure, and I might be able to use them in the back. If not, and I'm probably not. I don't even know why I drug these down. I'm putting air shocks on this thing. Another story. Brand new, never installed steering wheel. This steering wheel mounting kit, and I needed this so I can mount the steering wheel on it so I'd know how far to cut off my steering shaft. This is splined on here, and it's really not, it's not fitting. It could be a press fit sort of situation, and that's fine, but I don't have a nut. I don't have the hardware to mount it in. I've done something with it. Boys and girls, you don't know what's going on up in there. It's full of 57 Chevy parts, Cadillac parts, Dodge parts, and MGA parts. Oh my gosh, there's 2 more dashboards up there. But I took some inventory. There's a lot of cool stuff up there for Ralph's car that I didn't realize we had, or that I'd forgot. So I got to go through all that. Now I got to find the hardware for that. Maybe it's a standard thread. I'll figure it out. Give me a minute. Then I've got to cut this shaft is made onto that. So I got to lop it off, throw that in the junk pile. Yeah, geez. Oh, and then voila. You ask and you shall receive. I dug around, and I'm like, what is that bag full of stuff? Well, there you go. I guarantee you there's a turn signal collar, everything. There's the other adapter, my nut's probably in here. Bag and tag your stuff, kids, and then put it away, and everybody will find it again and forget where you put it. It's been a couple years. Well, 3 or 4. All right, let me see what I can come up with. I'll cobble this together so I can, you know, make vroom vroom noises. Yeah, I don't need that no more. Probably not good to anybody. Yeah. Having a little difficulty, so you gotta cut this. So this is gonna get welded on here. So I have to have room for a bead of weld in there. And if it comes down too far, of course it bottoms out here. These U-joints are bottoming out. I finally got it to where it's gonna line up. I cut this off, this is gonna go in there, that's gonna go in there. But let me show you what the problem is and what I had to do to get it to line up. It's supposed to be out just a little bit further, and it's too much of an angle for that U-joint to work. So I had to slide the column. Usually, this collar would be over top of this. It's not a huge deal, I don't care. And again, this is all going to get redone and rebuilt. The bushings are gone, this bearing's gone, so it's all going to come apart again anyway. If you look here, see that hole right there? That hole's supposed to be back here. So I had to slide the whole thing up to get to work, which isn't a huge deal. When I go to redo the column, I'll just weld this to the collar right where it's at, or spot welds right here or something, and it's fine. It's just kind of, it's a little janky. I can do something creative here if I wanted to fix that. So it is what it is. So what I'm going to do, we'll cut that shaft right yonder. Take the steering column all the way out of it, or at least take the wheel thing off, slide it all through so that I can weld this, put it all back together, and bring the column in here to put it on here, and then weld it here. Yep, stuff. Let's see how it turns out. I think it'll turn out all right. Oh, sorry. That was a little embarrassing, wasn't it? Do I look like Harrison Ford? I got a cowboy hat. Well, there's that, kinda. These U-joints and the angle, this one's fine. This one bottoms out and binds up. I got the steering column as far, the old automatic shifter, of course, I'm not going to use. It's shoved up as far as I can get it, shoved up as far as I can get it, trying to change this angle, and I still had the flapper disc just to get it to clear. So we're going to be, see, it still kind of binds up a little bit. I can move it around now. I've only got these tacked. I'm probably going to go with something different. I know that they make these U-joints that can almost go to almost a 90-degree angle and not bind. So I'll be cutting this off and coming up with something different intermediate shaft, maybe something with a slip joint in it, which that doesn't matter, but the slip joint's nice in case you're in a big old front end collision that just goes like that instead of shoving all this in your face, you know. But it's on there. I'm not too happy with the U-joint thing. I think they're just low quality, but you get what you pay for, right? So now I'm going to come up with something different. Some of the hardware, and I don't have a pump put on it, and I don't have the rack working, but it steers and it works. So far I'm okay with it. We'll make it work. And it could be you got to cut these. I don't know. Cut those pipes and clock this thing a little bit different. That might do it. I don't know. Do my research, figure something out. I can't drive it around like that, but I can roll it around the yard. There you have it. Sometimes you just got to have a good time with your project. Be silly. Sit down in it, sit back and look at it. And if you got a half hour just to go out and get away from everybody for a few minutes, go sit down and just look at it. Think about what you're going to do. Do a little planning. Get you some spray bomb and find some part to paint up and clean up, and just kind of pick up, throw some trash away. Maybe reorganize for the next time you get more time, you can come out. That's what keeps you going. Keeps you interested, right? Money-wise, you're right. It can be expensive because everybody be doing it. Spend your money wisely where it should be. Take your chances, like with this rack and pinion, and just see how it goes. It cost me at least half, and I'll make it work. Enjoy yourself. This is what this is for. It's for fun, not stress. Yeah, you know, I saved up a long time to have money to buy these things for this car. So I'm going to do the body work. That's kind of the next thing that's going to happen. Start getting some of the metal work straightened out, some of the rust stuff, and kind of get to there. At least this way, we can roll this outside. I can put the steering column in that green one over there, get it rolled out, and get them swapped, and get the shop cleaned up, and we're off to the races again. All right? It'll be nice to have this place cleaned up. But hey, you new subscribers and folks that come back and watch, man, I can't thank you enough. You've really made a lot of this worth it to me. You've kind of held me to a standard to get something done every week, and some stuff through the week too. Again, I'm going to say it. Wasn't for you, I wouldn't be this far. Right? So old Uncle Mike, he appreciates you. Share the thing and click the likey thing. Let me know what you think of this. Should I have just gone with the old original stuff and had to rebuild all that and spend money doing that? Let me know. We'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, Cold War Motors. Go check them out. I love their t-shirts. Take it easy.